Well, folks, we have U.S. corn making a big impact here into Southern Alberta, the Southern Prairie's Feedlot Alley. Corn coming in large waves once again. We've got reports of less cattle to be fed this summer, and that all boils down into a potential impact here in at least your old crop barley markets, but that trend's changing. I've got David Lea with Marketplace Commodities. We're going to break it all down for you here in episode 76 of the What the Futures podcast. So let's get into it. Hey, folks, welcome to the What the Futures podcast, your quick guide to better farming decisions. All right, folks, welcome into episode 76 of the What the Futures podcast, of course, recorded each and every week in the UPL studio. And while we're talking about UPL, I'm going to just plug Ag in Motion here because I'm so excited. We've been working on things in the background. I'm going to be at the UPL booth both Tuesday and Wednesday, bright and early. That's right, Ed. If you're rolling into the show at 7:30 again, like last year, I will be in the UPL booth getting my t-shirts ready to sling out there. We've got a very cool t-shirt design we just finalized here. We've got a couple other fun things that we're doing. And of course, we're going to have our special edition hats, What the Futures hats. They're not going to last long. You're going to get those by donation. So come say hi. I know it's a couple months away yet, but I'm just jacked for it. We're going to get to David Lea from Marketplace Commodities here in just a moment. He's been a busy guy here lately, but finally got connected this week on the show. And we're going to talk about some of the watch outs here for those of you holding back some old crop feed grains. There's a couple things that are a little bit, well, I just say you want to be cautious around it. I know Prairie dryness is definitely increasing in intention and awareness and tension there, but it's something that you want to check out because there's a couple things here that are I want to say wow factors, but almost like we got to know this stuff because it could have a big impact on price direction. This has been a fun week recording. I split it up over 2 days this week. And so on the one day, the canola market is still hanging in quite well, making a new high and then pulling off those highs. And then this morning, I go to finish up recording and canola is currently down $17 a ton. All right. And I read last night, RVO giveth and it taketh away. So what that basically means, and of course, who knows by the time you listen to this darn thing, but there's potentially, we went up because bean oil was cruising, lots of things happening, tight supply for canola, prairie dryness, that's all contributing. But, we had some update that, Canadian canola would qualify for the tax credit in the U.S. biofuel policy, 45Z. Everything was kind of brought to light here again this week. And Susan Stroud sent me a note and said, "Hey, check this out for canola." Kind of like a fist pump on a bit of a rally here, and we saw that. And now we have this pullback of $17 a ton. Now, I sit here and from a cautious perspective, if you got a little bit of old crop left to sell, it's over $700 on futures here. If you don't want to ride this, whatever this low is going to be, could be short-lived. Who knows? But it's certainly something where you could look at making that sale and then just moving your risk over to that, maybe a call option premium instead. Maybe you sit there and say, hey, prairie dryness is a concern in my backyard. Long range forecast is something I'm not appreciating right now. It looks a little bit challenging from a dryness perspective. I still want to be bullish. You can. You just move over a percentage of that risk instead of the whole thing. Buy that call option and participate in that side. Market goes up, rallies, that call increases in value, and that's where your upside comes from. If for some reason another story comes out or something compounds onto this negativity, well, you got it sold and you don't have to worry about it as much. All right. So something to think about here in this market. The other couple things here, well, the wheat market's it's in the green here as of recording. It's up a few pennies here and there. Kansas wheat's trying to show something here. Minneapolis spring wheat up 3 cents as well. All I'm doing here is still trying to buy some time, because if you're sitting here looking at the forecast, and I say it in the episode, but the weather now has entered my crop marketing plan. And maybe that sounds a little weird to say that out loud, but weather is always involved in the crop marketing plan. It usually provides opportunity. So I, of course, partner on our farm for weather's BAM-WX and partner of the podcast. And they always, back in March and April, they just kept talking about this back half of May having precipitation events. And I know not all of you are receiving that. I know that even as of recording, there's quite a bit of action on the radar, but like Lethbridge to Prince Albert, there's a corridor there traveling to the northeast that, again, as of recording, wasn't getting in much of anything this morning. There is a dryness concern there. And so there's precipitation events happening, and that's fantastic to see. And we cross our fingers for more. But the long range forecast is noteworthy. It is a forecast that brings in some heat and some dryness for June. And long-term weather forecasting, long-range forecasting, I don't put a lot of stock into that, but yet it is involved and included in the crop marketing plan. And you look at it and say, well, if this research is pointing to this, I need to acknowledge that and have that as part of my thought process here for crop marketing. Because if it comes to fruition, where we do get a tough growing season with dry conditions, you look back and say, well, I saw that back in April or May, and I didn't do anything about it. So I sit here with the wheat market thinking, we got to find some support, number one. We got to find a reason to rally, number two. And we're patiently waiting for that. Now, I talk about, weather entering my crop marketing plan. And just to confirm here, just so you hear this from me, that doesn't mean that I stop crop marketing. Okay? It's entered the conversation. It's entered my my process. But all it does for me is it just forces me, and forces you as well, hopefully, to go and break open that toolbox and just get a sense on how you can grab some of what could be some higher margin opportunities, but also not expose yourself to buyouts or to painful conversations for exiting contracts. You can sit here and continue to market your crops, your hedgeable crops specifically, but just open up that toolbox to say, all right, I see canola here is new crop canola is, let's say it's approaching $700 a ton. I can't afford to not do anything here. Well, instead of phoning a line company and making a contract, you might say, you know what, I'm going to just sell in my futures account. I'm just going to sell some futures over there, or I'm going to look at a put option strategy, or maybe I'm going to go look at one of these fancy strategies where I can build an average price between May 15th and September 15th, like a contract like that where it's selling a little bit every day. I believe that it will be a bit more manageable from a contract perspective as well. So there's different things out there that you can look at. The other thing too here is I just saw for this week a little bit of a spike in new crop flax prices. A meaningful jump, like a couple dollars a bushel increase in new crop flax prices, a number that basically said, hey, that this is very, very strong profitability wise. And of course, it has an act of God on it. So you take advantage of that price jump and still protect yourself with an act of God. And so some of the specialty crops as well. Before we get to David here, we'll get to him in just a second. I did want to highlight a couple things. We are seeing New crop pea prices, yellow peas up, I would call it about 50 cents this week. We're seeing lots of nines as kind of the baseline, maybe high eights for Southeast Saskatchewan, but a lot of 9 in there now, and higher for new crop yellow peas. And then green peas, they didn't fall off a cliff like maples, but now we're starting to see something in the mid 14s to 15 again on green peas. So maybe there's a little demand happening. A couple different bids out there coming in now. I still think prairie dryness is something we need to keep an eye on. But as the Lunchbox crew has reminded me a few times, they have not lost a crop in May, and I strongly believe that as well. So we've lost them in June before, in July and August, definitely. But in May, we're not quite there. And it is only May 15th, folks. So there you go. Okay, let's get into it now with David Lea from Marketplace Commodities. I've also got Colin Cameron from Winfield United joining me this week on the show. And, stay tuned for eating your veggies. I've got a few things there. I've got some questions that came in that I want to shed some light on here as well this week. And then, of course, we'll wrap it up. We'll see if we can do something fun at the end of the episode here. Maybe figure out a little prize pack for those dedicated listeners that hang out all the way to the end. Of course, if you get a chance, subscribe on the YouTube channel. We got 300 and some subscribers now. Would like to get that number to 500 between now and the end of summer. So go and subscribe on YouTube. I certainly appreciate you doing that for me. All right, folks, I've got David Lea with Marketplace Commodities joining me once again here on the What the Futures podcast. David, it's been a minute, man, but how you doing over there?
Oh, thanks, Ryan. Doing well over here in Lethbridge. Just rolling along, getting into spring now, which is nice. And I guess what are we, midway through spring now? Little more than midway. So
pretty much, yeah.
I can't remember what crop week it is so far here, but we're moving along.
Yeah, don't ask me. All I know is that planting is going quite well for many, and it's not that's wrapping up, but it's getting closer to wrapping up here.
Yeah.
So,
down here in our area, a lot of guys are wrapped up now. Like anyone in the south, out on the reserve, all the way over into the east, Grassy Lake, those areas, and quite north. Yeah, a lot of guys are pretty wrapped up and irrigating in May. So
is that probably not what you'd like to see, right? You probably don't see much of that in May. Is this a bit of a little abnormal then?
May 4th, we hit 30 degrees. I saw 30 degrees register on my car dial. It said 27 on the news forecast. And that's quite unusual. And it's not just been one day either. It's been quite, it has affected the emerging winter wheat. It's been fairly stunted. The lawns are even really up till this week, they had trouble turning green. Now they're green. This week we have had spotty rain. Some areas have got nothing. Some areas have got about 2/10. Some have got a 1/4 inch. The most I've heard is a 1/2 inch so far. Now, I don't know if you can see out the window behind me here, but we do have rain clouds today here. It looks to me like probably maybe 50-60% chance right now. And interestingly, the 50-60% chance means that they take an area, and that if you take a spot in that area, it means there's a 50 or 60% chance it'll get hit in that area. So when you look out, I would say it's maybe 50-60%. It's supposed to build, but
I haven't looked at the radar this afternoon, but I'm just looking at the last 7 days precip, and basically it looks like Calgary, north of you there, Calgary, just south of Calgary, got a little more action.
Yeah.
But I don't know what town that would be. I don't know if it'll pop
you get down through Vulcan in there. They were the ones that probably had a little closer to a 1/2 inch. So
yeah. And then there's a corridor that travels northeast.
Yeah.
Which also goes and loops in my farm as well, all the way south of Prince Albert. All within that corridor on this last event, Saskatoon would be in there.
Yeah.
You've got Eston's in there, Swift would be in here as well, but there's a whole huge area there that just hasn't seen much this week. We had that, Edmonton and then west of Edmonton, the trees are getting lots of rain. Not
Okay.
Yeah, there's farmland over there as well. I know if Dan's listening to the podcast west of Edmonton, he farms over there. Don't get me wrong.
All
But
right.
the trees got a bunch of moisture, and then around here to the north,
Yeah.
east of me as well. I call it like, Vermilion
Yeah.
area. So anyway, well,
Yeah.
I'm not a weather guy, but the long range forecast has, all I'll say right now is that it's starting to have an influence on my crop marketing plan.
Oh, okay.
And in the sense that I look at the long range and I'm just noticing, very warm and dry for a very large area. And it's just, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it's starting to be, it's involved in the crop marketing plan now a
Right.
little bit. Instead of maybe a deferred delivery contract for fall, I'm now, maybe I'll do a put option instead, or something like that.
Okay.
Or if I,
Mhm.
what's the act of God looking like over there? Or
Yeah.
do I have to phone the people over at Egg Eye 3 on Forward Protect? Like, it's all evolving. All right.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not like you to get nervous, Ryan. So
Well, I'm not, well, I don't know if I'm nervous yet, but it's just, it's there. All right.
it's there. Yeah.
Yes.
No one wants to talk about it, but it's there. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm an optimist, David, so I will remain optimistic
I know you are.
on precipitation, but
Yeah.
yeah. So last time you were on the show, it was like tariffs weren't really impacting many. It might be the last time or the time before that, but
Yeah.
you were doing a deal, a Durham deal at the
Oh,
time,
yeah.
and it kind of
Yeah.
went up in smoke here because of tariff stuff. Where does that sit today? How is the tariff situation impacting grain movement?
It's a good question. Like, honestly, it's a strange world that we're living in right now. So for example, like right at the moment, I can actually ship grain to the US tariff free, but like wheat and barley coming back are tariffed into Canada, and then corn coming up is not tariffed. So and that's caused us a little bit of trouble with the Canadian dollar, high and corn having dropped back to the low values. I'm again seeing a lot of corn trading here in Lethbridge, which that along with, I know it's not a popular thing to say, but the May long weekend usually denotes the high in the market.
Right.
So your May long weekend is usually, I mean, you get into these droughts, and over the last few years, it has stayed a little higher, but usually after your May long weekend, the market tends to drop into new crop. And we're kind of seeing that right now. Like we saw barley maybe hit a high of 320. Today, it's probably 310 to 315 for nearby. If you go out to July or August, it's probably more like 300 to 305. And so it's just kind of come over the hump a little bit. And I think that corn market has something to do with that.
Are we talking like volume? Like, are we talking like there's action there, or it's just the odd?
No, it's quite a bit of volume, and it's into new crop as well. Like it's trading about $290 a ton FOB. So that lands into feedlots at around 300. So you compare barley at 310, 315, you're quite a bit over on the barley here. So now new crop barley has kind of tapered down, and it's more now around 290, 285, 290 today. I think I can pay like a 287 or 288 delivered Lethbridge today is kind of the thing for like Oknov Dees. I did a little there yesterday. So
yeah, and of course prices are subject to change by the time
but
people
yeah,
listen.
back to the tariff thing that you were asking about. So it's a strange thing. You would have almost thought, well, why didn't they tariff the corn from coming in here, right? Because that would actually have a bit of in it. So the way Canada has their tariff structured, we've almost become the aggressor in the tariff war here in Canada from that standpoint. It's a strange turn of events, really.
Yeah.
But yet we're letting through the corn, which in my opinion, hurts our farmer. So,
well, yeah,
I don't understand.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, the East has not paid much attention to the farmers in the West here lately. So,
no.
yeah.
Well, Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So corn's coming up, and that's having an impact. Value slipping a little bit. And I'll just highlight here against the topic nobody wants to talk about, but against dry conditions. Like,
Against dry conditions. Yep.
right? Like, usually that'll, if it's going to support the market past the May long weekend, it's because of dryness usually. So,
And
yeah.
against a low barley carryout. I can't remember the
Yeah.
numbers when I went over them, but we're at a really low barley carryout as well too. So
Yeah.
it's not something for me where the numbers really add up for what we're seeing exactly, except for that corn still able to make its way in here at cheaper values. So
Yeah.
if
Okay.
you're looking for the culprit, that's the culprit, I think. So
Anything else volume kind of moving between across the borders right now?
Not a lot. Like I say, it's very difficult. Like, I can't bring barley even that's been purchased up here. The companies down there are kind of aware of it. So you can't bring anything up here. There are some small amounts that are going south. Like we mentioned, my Durham trade. I have done a little bit more Durham to go down there, but I have to kind of do it with a clause that if there is a tariff put on, essentially the contract becomes null and void on both sides.
Right.
And there's some end users down there that will do that. There's some that won't. They can't run a business that way. So
yeah.
But I think on the other hand, it's a little tricky to just find Durham just anywhere, right? So
Yep.
So some of them they take the risk and will sometimes pound quite a bit down there while we can, and then the tariff thing comes up and everyone's on the edge of their seat. Like back on April the 4th, everyone was like, "Oh boy, here we go again."
Yep.
And then they paused it. So it's definitely affected trade. Like just the threat of the tariff affects the trade, regardless if there's one in place or not.
I heard in other industries too, where they'd see not grain, but things stockpile at the border, and then a pause or an exemption or whatever, and everything would go across real quick, and then you'd see it build up again as tensions were climbing. So yeah, not an efficient way. That costs money. Doing things like that costs money. So
yeah, it really does.
Yeah. All right. So we've had a heck of a week on the farm here, getting things sorted out with a troublesome machine. And, I know that, going through the buying process of a piece of equipment, parts and service, it's top of mind. And you realize that if you don't think about that during the process, you realize that, shortly after. And so this week for us was a perfect, kind of example of that. And I'm not trying to throw shade at anybody this week, but where we bought our piece of equipment, a brand new piece of equipment, a seeding tool, that dealership, they didn't prioritize. They must not sell many of them because they don't prioritize their tech department, their team, their technicians, the service people, the parts people to go to that training and get up to speed on how to problem shoot and fix this stuff. So we had a machine that is basically in its second crop. You always have that first year where you get through learning the machine, getting the kinks out. Everybody talks about it when you buy something new. You get that figured out, and it takes a season to do that. And this year we ran into even more problems, even more challenges, I should say, and reached out to many different resources to try to get a solution, a very finicky solution, something that resulted in the machine being down multiple days when you string it all together. A machine that would work for an hour and then not work after that, resulted in an 8-hour journey to southern Saskatchewan trying to troubleshoot some monitors. It took someone a whole day to go through that. And even in that process, guys, I remember one not long ago, but texting my brother's the one who did the drive. He's the one who's also getting home at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning from that. So he's on the road, tired. It's already a big stretch. It's a big event, planting your crop. And I just think about, fatigue and what can happen in those situations. And anyways, after all this, our JD Tech, our John Deere technicians, they came out, not their tool to fix, not their machine to problem solve, but they came out and basically they stayed and got it figured out, came out to the farm multiple times, and they didn't quit until we were able to get going and get that machine going. It wasn't on them, right? We have a great relationship with our dealership. If anyone knows our farm, we run very green, we're a very strong John Deere operation. And, I just think back though to the whole transaction and how parts and service play such a key part. And here, once again, our service department doing a bang up job out of our local dealership, John Deere dealership, to get us up and running when, to be honest, it wasn't really on them. They're part of it. Our John Deere tractor, they were out there seeing, is there something there? It was nothing to do with that, but they were there just trying to do their part and got us going again. So took a bit of that stress off the farm and such an important part of the transactions out there. So big shout out to those guys and a big shout out to our John Deere support team. Well, okay, so let's switch gears now to cattle. You're in Feedlot Alley there. You're in the action, talking to lots of these big cattle operations down there.
Yeah.
What's going on the cattle side?
It's pretty big news, actually. Like there were a lot of cattle that shipped out earlier in the year. They replaced some, but we're seeing numbers, and the guys that I'm talking to are talking about quite a cattle shortage starting probably late June, July, and August. Okay. And then hopefully start bringing them back in September. So again, I would say that we're looking at, from a demand side, a little bit of cooling there happening as well.
Yep.
It could be fairly significant. I'm hearing it more than I've heard in other years. So
a case of where there's smoke, there's fire type thing, or
the numbers are in, like they're already in now. Like they're just not. They're once they start shipping these ones out here, it's going to be a smaller amount over the summer here for sure. So. That doesn't necessarily mean price goes down. I don't want to confuse those two things, because, if you have a low carryout on barley, you have a low amount of cattle in, it all comes down to supply and demand. So I'm not forecasting anything with that. So,
well, I think, what we talked about so far, I think the concerns that stand out to me are corn coming north as one on the negative side, on the bearish side of price, but then also the dryness on the bullish side, the dryness on how does this look in 2 weeks time when we move the calendar to June 1. Man, like the grass, it needs something here too. Like it's you're talking about irrigating in May. Nobody likes having to feed. It doesn't make sense to be feeding during this time as well. So
no.
But we'll be optimistic. Okay, so I want to turn to something that's been a little bit more of a pleasant surprise here the last number of weeks, and maybe we're starting to lose a bit of the shine on this market as well. But in one sense, the gradable number one wheat, hard red spring wheat, the sad thing is that feed values are in many areas the leading price getter. And so to me, that was in some cases a pleasant surprise to get some offers as high as they were. But I also know that when that happens, it doesn't last very long because there's just that much more available supply, if that's the case. So where are we at right now on the feed wheat market? Is it starting to lose a bit of that shine?
It is a little bit, like, and you're right. Even to start the week here, I was desperately looking for feed wheat. It's kind of gotten a bit more coverage this week, I would say.
Yep.
I was probably seeing it trade anywhere from maybe 320, 330 a ton, just depending where a guy was, maybe, possibly been a little higher. Today, it's probably more like a 314, 315 Lethbridge. These are per ton. I'm not sure what that is per bushel, but, more up in your area, I would say like the soft wheats and wheats up there into Lloyd and those places off farm, you're probably looking at maybe around $8, $8.15 a bushel, something like that picked up right now. So they're pretty decent values as well.
Yep.
But yeah, it's been quite the theme where I'll admit that it's hung on longer than I thought. When I first saw the feed market trading at par with the milling market, that's usually a real big sign to sell that. Like as a grain company, we sell that quite heavily.
Yep.
But we like to see a little bit of buying happen before we get going too much on it.
Yep.
And we just really didn't see a lot of it. Like even at this point, I'm probably more even, but maybe even still a little net short compared to where I like to be at this point. I would like to see the coverage a little better. So
yeah, as people wrap up planting and spring work, though, then the phone usually starts to ring too, especially if there's moisture events, right? So you might just
that's
be
right.
right on the cusp of
Which
that
we're
too.
starting. Yeah, which we're getting to that point now. That's right.
Yeah,
So
because
that's a great point, actually.
the
It's a
next
great
phone
point.
call is ABC line company's going to call you up, whatever one, and be like, "Hey, we got a pile of volume here to move for you,"
Oh yeah,
or that phone call is not that far away either.
yeah.
So yeah,
If they start, there's just so much more, like in terms of volume grown on the prairies. There's just so much more wheat than barley, right? So if that wheat can start making its way into the feed market probably it can't stay high for very long. Like it's
nope,
eventually going to get saturated unless there's some world event that again pops the export price of wheat back up. But if guys have to move wheat and you've only got the feed market, it doesn't take very long for that wheat, to overtake the market really. So
yeah, usually it's kind of short and sweet when it
yeah,
happens, because some of these wheat deals too that occur at this time of year are, to see an old crop wheat deal from a farm to a buyer of 800 tons, 1,000 tons, 2,000 tons, like that can happen. Whereas, I don't know, the barley, it seems to be 3 or 4 or 6 loads type thing. So,
yeah,
um,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Just kind of your last couple loads in the bin.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Did you get any indication here from your discussion with the industry and with farmers, like, seeding plans that, like, did anything kind of surprise you at all when it kind of shook out, or was it standard normal?
Yeah, from what I've heard so far, there was initially going to be more barley going in when canola took that huge jump off the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
But now with canola having really rallied back up here quite strongly, I mean, it's had the odd down day here, but compared to the amount of up days it's had, a lot of guys were able to switch back in and go back into their canola, and it's continued to just go here too. So
Yep.
I think from what I've heard, most guys are about even with their crop rotation. There might be slightly more barley that went in just because guys couldn't switch out of it at that point. But I think the
Yep.
rotation is going to be, from what I've heard, guys are sticking with a pretty regular rotation again here. One that they've seen the last few years in the face of a bit of dryness, quite a bit of wheat, quite a bit of canola, some barley,
Mm-hmm.
up north, a bit more oats and
Yep.
that sort of thing. Yeah, I haven't heard any major shifts this year myself on that. So
Yeah, I think once you kind of get a rotation, most farmers I chat with, they'll make some little tweaks here and there, and it does add up when a bunch of people do some of this stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, we'll see. I think a little less peas. I think that'll be a
yeah,
theme that comes
that is
out.
true. Little less peas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably I don't know what you were seeing, but I was hearing a little more barley go in instead of the peas. So
Well, and like new crop barley and new crop wheat values in my region, barley is the one that's paying the bills here. Like it's
yeah,
actually at a profitable position, whereas wheat
okay,
has not found any stability here since, we had a run up in February, we had a little run up in March, and
hmm,
that's it, right? So,
right,
the
okay.
you scan new crop wheat values across the prairies, and it's a tough look. It's a tough
Hmm.
look. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, you're right. You're right with those peas. There's a few guys that got out of the peas right before that tariff. A few of the large companies that I kind of talk with, and they're looking like geniuses. Something like that they had some insider information, and they certainly claim that they didn't. But
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't. Yeah.
yeah.
Just read the tea
So
leaves correctly. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, man. Well, we covered a lot here today. I appreciate
yeah.
your time as always. Anything else? Any other topic that we haven't haven't touched on?
Yeah, I'd just say keep an eye on those new crop values. If you're looking for some barley to book in, I like you. I do think it's probably not a bad idea to have a little barley booked in. I certainly, you can't really do act of God on feed barley, but
Mm-hmm.
so you want to be cautious. Maybe, I always say maybe like 20% max if you're going to do some. But I think that's something to look at for sure. It's always nice to lock in a bit of a profit if you can.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that canola, it might even have a little bit more legs in it, I think, just with where things are at. When something does the opposite of what you think, when all of a sudden they tariff it and you think it's going to, and it kind of drops, but then it does the opposite. It's like, okay, well, they tend to keep going for some reason. So
Yeah, we had a bunch of scary things like in a row that could have really crushed this market for us for the foreseeable future. And
yeah,
one by one, each of those storylines has gone away or
and it
improved,
dissipated.
or yeah. And that I always I preach patience. I preach, don't make big decisions around those big negative events. Not saying that I, told everyone to magically own canola at 600. Well, it made its way to 720. I wish I would have been able to do that too. Um, but yeah, it's nice, and I think that the weather is going to play a part here, at least in the short term. My forecast, knock on wood, is not terrible the next couple of weeks, but weather is a part of this too now, and
Yep,
tight ending stocks for canola, that's a part of this.
yep,
And people were planting less until proven otherwise, which will be at the end of June. So we
yep,
got a little runway here, and we'll see. I know I've been spending a lot of time just looking at alternative risk management strategies. How do I, if I like $700 November canola futures, we're not there quite yet as of recording, but if I like that number,
yeah,
how can I protect that without exposing myself to a big buyout? So
bet.
yeah. So anyways, good stuff, David. I appreciate your time, and
Yeah, likewise, Ryan.
look forward to our next conversation.
You bet. Me too. All right, we'll catch you then.
You bet. Take care. All right, folks, for eating your veggies this week, let's keep it a little bit simple here. You're likely towards the tail end of planting, or you're in the back half of planting. It's getting to that point, right? Which means that you've been putting in the big days, working the long hours, keeping everything going. The stress level is up a little bit. The forecast has been a little tense as well. So that's all part of this. So let's try to keep it simple. Number one, focus up. You're at the task at hand, and try to take a little rest here and there when you can. All right, just try to take that little rest. Okay, so number one, I want to go into new crop yellow peas. I'd like to go on a fishing expedition with you and basically go and start to dangle out those new crop yellow pea targets. We've seen a little bit of strength in yellow peas this week. We got $9 north up in the Peace region here. We've seen about a 50-cent gain. We're going to be a good 9.5 in some areas now. Let's just go fishing a little bit. Let's go and put something a little higher than that and see what can get filled here on a percentage. I think pea acres are on the decline this year. I see the Canadian dollar pulling back here as well. So that's supportive. But let's go and dangle something. Maybe it's 25, 50 cents above posted bids, but let's go and dangle a little something out there on those yellow peas. Of course, green peas are strengthening. Let's keep an eye on that. And maple peas will be the last one to the party, but they'll make the biggest jump when they do come in. All right. So that's kind of number one. Number two, you got to tidy up old crop here. Okay. You got to tidy up old crop. If you don't tidy up old crop here, you're basically positioning yourself for the weather for this rest of this spring and summer. But if and when, it's more when than if, but rain events in late May, early June, when that stuff starts to happen, when it actually physically happens, the market's already peeled back. And some of the charts are showing, if you look at maybe the feed barley values, if you look at maybe oats even here, it looks like they may have topped out a little bit. Wheat, there's been some dandy specials. Feed wheat markets have been super strong. You got to tidy up old crop here. And if you can tidy it up during this really busy part of the spring, more often than not, that pays dividends. We've got some great offers on wheat, basis levels, hitting near or at their high of the year. Just getting that secure and tidying up that old crop marketing right now is very, very important. Okay. So take a little bit of time to get that done. And then last one for this week, honestly, continuing to figure out your dance partner for fall of 2026. Okay. So just figuring out who out there is ready to contract on wheat and canola and some of these other crops, and just seeing what the prices are, seeing what's out there. I'm not saying you got to jump for it. I did a little bit of new crop canola for fall of 26. I'm going to do a little bit more here shortly, I would think, just building that average up. But just figure out who your dance partner is, because when the market turns, it's too late. By the time you find out who to do something with and to execute, you're chasing it and it's not going to feel very good. So go out there, take control, and hey, find that partner and then toss that target out. Even if you're like, Ryan, I don't want to sell anything for next year. I want the market to go up another $1. Fine. Go throw the target out there. Throw it out for a few weeks and see what happens. And it'll feel pretty good when you get filled. All right. That's it for eating your veggies for this week. All right, folks, positive moments of the week. I got a couple here. I'm recording this segment Thursday morning, so my Edmonton Oilers have advanced to the conference finals. So I got to toss that in there because I didn't think we were getting this far this year, but the team has sure put it together. So I'm going to put my Edmonton Oilers in there as well for my first positive moment. And then my last one here, my little shadow at home, my little guy, Finley. We had a moment here this week now where he wants to do, Finn's, at 28 months old, I believe, something close to that, two and a bit, 2 1/4. He's my little shadow, and now he wants to do whatever I do, he also wants to do. And so if we're outside doing something, if we're working on a project, and I had to pause this week and just realize that if I, take a hammer and hit a nail, he needs his hammer and he's going to hit his nail. And that was the first moment that I realized that here this week, was that he was trying to do all the things I was doing. So that is, if you experience that, that's a special feeling as well. So those are my positive moments of the week. Of course, a happy belated Mother's Day to everybody. We had, for my wife, Mother's Day is not one day. I can't say we try to do it every day because that's not what happens. But we had a weekend. Every day we did something special for Chantel, and we had a really nice Mother's Day as well. I went out for Mother's Day brunch, and heck, we've even had a little bit of rain here lately as well. So that's it for positive moments for this week. All right, folks, I've got Colin Cameron here with Winfield United joining me on the What the Futures podcast. Actually, making your podcast debut, Colin. How's it going this week?
It's going good. We got the crop in, started raining right after, so couldn't ask for better timing.
Yeah, perfect. You may be my closest guest here, right? We don't live that far apart.
I was looking at the map we were talking earlier, and I think we're only, for 15 minutes apart at most, probably.
Yeah, I'd have to do a quick think, but I'm pretty sure closest podcast guest so far. All right, so what did you see out in the field when you were planting crops? Did anything kind of surprise you out there, or what did you notice?
I think, and it's pretty widespread. We were going around a lot of potholes, but it was still pretty dry in the mid slopes and hilltops. So last year's dry weather is starting to catch up with us a little bit. Some areas not quite as much snow as normal too, and left pretty early. So we have some dry conditions out there in general, I think. A lot of areas are earlier than normal, it seems like, as well.
So are you one of those farms that's going to go back and fill in those potholes after, if they're dry, go and put something in there? Or do you just kind of leave it?
I leave it. Once the drill's parked, it's parked, unless frost or something. But I don't.
Hey, knock on wood. This week's snow event for southern Manitoba. Knock on wood.
I see that.
What about crop mix? Did you guys do anything different this year? Or do you kind of stick to the regulars?
No, regular stuff. So canola and wheat. We used to have some peas. We're taking a break from those just because our rotation on them has been pretty tight. We've been growing peas since, probably the late 80s, to be honest. And it's just, the yields aren't there where they should be. So taking a little bit of a break, maybe get them back in eventually and just extend that rotation.
Yeah, we're at a 10-year rotation now on peas on our farm. It's brutal.
Yeah,
absolutely brutal on those ones. But all right, so you work for Winfield United. What is your title, your role? What do you spend your day doing?
My official title, I guess, is the Market Development Manager for Northern Alberta. So my territory would be basically all of Alberta outside of the southern part, so outside of the the brown soil zone. So Crossfield or Carstairs, I guess, north all the way through the Crete in the north. So quite extensive.
It's fair ways north,
Yeah, and then east to the Alberta-Saskatchewan border. Mostly too. So big swath of most of the black, dark brown, and gray soil zones in Alberta.
Fair enough.
So my job description, I guess, with Winfield United is to look after the proprietary brands. If people aren't familiar with what Winfield United does, we are a distribution company for independent retailers. But on top of that, we also have a proprietary portfolio. So that would include the Croplan seed brand we have. We also have some crop protection and adjuvant portfolio, as well as some micronutrients. So anything that you see, I guess, that says by Winfield United would fall to me to kind of manage the sales, the technical part, as well as education and just creating demand for those products.
All right, fair enough. And like, if you're to throw out some of the names that farmers would recognize here on the podcast, like what kind of stands out as some of those top products for you?
I would say a lot of people are probably familiar with our Interlock drift and product adjuvant. More and more we've added to that portfolio as well, so people are familiar a lot more with Master Lock and now Strike Lock as well. I would say those are probably what most people are familiar with, more so than even the Croplan brand at the moment.
Yeah. So it's always windy in the spring, but this spring's been a challenge out there. So I don't know if you have a fix for that yet. But when you get to those big winds, when you get those figured out for us, let us know. All right?
Yeah, we do well in a breeze, but not the wind that we've had.
Oh man,
this spring so far. No, it's been pretty bad.
Okay, cool. So, welcome Winfield to the podcast here for sure. We're going to do a little bit of a journey here on our farm with some cropland canola seed here in 2025. I'm excited to get this project underway, and not that it's been easy here, Colin. Like we're having on the farm, we have old reliable. We have two drills. We have old reliable, and then we have a new drill, 2023 new build, and the darn thing's just been a piece of work all spring long. So we're getting close to planting some canola here, but we've been a little bit delayed with the slowdown. But this is the week. This is when it's going to happen on our farm just south of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan. So I'm excited to get this kicked off. Now, we're going to plant a variety. I'm not sure if you named this yourself or how this process works, but I think it's a CP25L3C is what I want to say. Am I saying that properly? And did you name this thing?
Yeah, that's correct. Our naming is pretty easy. CP obviously stands for Crop Plan. 25 is the year of the hybrid registration, so you can know how old or how long it's been on the market. L designates a glufosinate tolerant system. And then the next number would be our maturity. We rate ours from 1 to 5, so 3 being a mid-season. And then the C, obviously we designate our traits as well. So this one would have a clubroot package, actually a very good one at that. You may see some of our cropland varieties out there with a P instead for shatter. We typically have clubroot and shatter traits, and we just pick one to designate it. You won't see a PC or a CP or anything like that.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's kind of straight cutting is kind of industry standard now for genetics. So it's not like we need to point it out so much anymore, but the clubroot part of it is obviously being in central Alberta where we are is such a big thing for us. So we put that on the bag.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So 25, this is a new variety then for this year. I guess what kind of stands out for you when you think of this one?
So I guess to just mention another cropland variety that we got registered last year in the CP24L3C did very well for us. And so we just wanted to continue the momentum and select another one to register for this year. There wasn't really any supply, I'd say, for sale at the retail level. We had a bunch of stuff demo out and put in plots, such as you guys are doing on your farm, to take a good look at it. But we were pretty confident where it's coming from, that it would be a good performer as well. So we selected that, got it registered this winter, and then we've got some. I don't know how many bags would be spread out across Western Canada on plots and stuff, but a good portion of it. And then coming into the fall, retails will be able to order it, and farmers will be able to purchase it. So like I kind of mentioned before, it's got a great club root package, mid-maturity, so fits in a lot of Western Canada without being too late or even too early. It's got pretty good early season vigor, strong performance, stands well, straight cut ratings great too. So pretty good overall variety. Checks
all around.
Checks the boxes for most of us.
Yeah, nice. Well, we're gonna get that seed in the ground here over the next few days. I was looking for an update on the farm this morning, but it's at the point where I don't even ask how the day is going anymore. I just say, like, send me an emoji on where we're at today. So it's bugging them a little too much at times. So I gotta ask. So we got the details on this variety, but has Winfield been involved with this canola seed brand? Have you guys had this around for many years now, or how new is this to Western Canada?
Yeah, so as far as canola seed would go in Western Canada, our first hybrid would have been 2019. So not old school, but certainly been around for a while. And that's in Western Canada. We've had a lot of cropland, corn and beans and stuff in Eastern Canada for quite a while. And then just getting the canola. We've really started picking up steam in the last few years, getting some really good hybrids, expanding that portfolio too. I think when I started 3.5 years ago, we had maybe 2-3 varieties. So, we've doubled that portfolio certainly in the last couple of years, and our seed production is really starting to follow that as well. So we're hitting the ground running. A lot more people familiar with the Cropland brand and know what it is now when they see it, not kind of taken aback when they see a brand new sign on the road in the summer.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Colin. So you're farming as well. We got the canola market here trading, Nav canola over $6.90 right now. I think for myself, we're going to do a little bit of contracting here, get a little bit of this cropland sold at some of these strong values that many were not anticipating just weeks ago. You got any insight on how your crop marketing's going this year? Anything kind of catching your eye in canola or wheat?
I think obviously I'm much happier with where canola levels are today versus when those tariffs went on in March and elevators stopped even talking about canola. You can look back at my Twitter though. I was pretty confident that we'd get it figured out, and we have. So that's good. As far as my my new crop marketing, I am in a pretty dry part of the world, so I do not like to do contracts too early, but I will take protection on whether it's puts usually pretty early around this time of year, and so we'll be looking to do some of that, put a level in at least so I can sleep better at night. But I'm actually holding pretty tight. I used to do a lot of forward contracting and dodge some bullets here and there, and then start using the options market more because I don't have to deliver anything and pay any fees.
Well,
short, right? So it's worked well for us. I should say this past year, we did have a pretty low yielding crop, half of average, I'd say. I didn't have contracts that I had to worry about, and we had some pretty good protection on canola and wheat, I think early too, and it paid off. We kind of smoothed it out through that January time frame until she started coming back. So I think we did pretty well given the circumstances, I guess.
Yeah, good stuff. And I would say if there's one thing we're doing a lot of talking about right now in the background is option strategies and puts and owning some price protection during the spring traditionally a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
We often find some highs there. So appreciate you sharing that, Colin. Thanks for jumping on the What the Futures podcast here, making Winfield's debut. And I look forward to tracking this journey here of our, where'd that fancy variety name go on me here? CP25. I don't know where my paper went.
L3.
You're going to have to finish it for me.
CP25 L3C. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, we got lots out there, and having it on your farm is going to be a pretty good thing for us too, I think. So.
Awesome, man. Thanks again. Have a great growing season, and we'll touch base soon. All right. All right, folks. So I had a couple questions come in this week, and even one from the Lunchbox crew here that I want to touch on as well. We are hoping to bring back the mailbag segment here for the spring and summer. So, fire my way, Ryan at whatthefuturespodcast.ca. Like I said, I am not the smartest person out there, but I got a lot of friends in the industry, and I'm happy to invite them to answer your tough questions. Now, I get questions from Dallas on the regular here, which I appreciate. So thanks, Dallas, for sending them in. But he basically said, hey, Ryan, how high is the canola market going to go? Canola was touching 730, I believe, when he wrote that in. And, I thought that was a fun question. Now, I obviously don't know the answer to that, but part of my marketing plan is I've got Trent Clarenbach, who's a great technical analyst here for the Prairies. And, Trent and I were chatting this week about a few different things. We were chatting about it. And I think that technicals here, they're always involved, play a big part, but it provided some clarity for me on what he was looking at. And I basically challenged him and said, well, okay, now that you see that, the market pulls back, where do we go from here? And, it's anyone's guess. I'm not going to put words in Trent's mouth here on the show this week. Things change in a hurry. But, the important thing to note here is that the prices, and this is going to sound like I'm dodging the question, but, the question comes in, how high is this going to go? The answer that I have for you is, if you have old crop canola, if you were a believer that this was happening the whole time, maybe when canola was down at 580, this doesn't feel as powerful as it should for you. But canola traded to 735, down from 600 and 580. Like, we're talking about what? $3 a bushel, $4 a bushel. Basis improved as well. For some of you, that might even be approaching close to $5 a bushel on the darkest day of where the market went. Like, instead of asking that question, the response I have is, why wouldn't you take advantage of this and instead just lower down your percent of risk here by just saying, hey, I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm excited about where it's at today. I'm going to take this price and then look to maybe buy that little call option or something to try to figure out the absolute home run. Like right now, the pitch count is at 3 balls, 2 strikes. The bases, maybe they're loaded here, and you're sitting up at the plate. You've got some confidence, but you're going for your big swing here. You got a fastball coming down the middle. Are you going to connect or not? You can connect by making the sale and buying the call option. To me, that's a grand slam, because you didn't sell it at 580 or 600. You let the market do its thing, but you could swing and miss here as well. It's that time of year, right? And I guess there's 2 outs as well, let's say, because we're of the time of year. So it's a great question, but I just want to say, like, there's lots of factors at play here. We could see this market climate doesn't go up in a straight line. There's some very positive things from a chart perspective. Things look pretty good and healthy right now. And we'll see. But I don't know if you are taking that big swing, Dallas. I actually can't say that for sure, but that's how I would answer the question, even though I'm kind of going around it for you. All right. I got a Lunchbox crew question that came in this morning or this week as well. And I just thought it would be kind of an interesting one to have a discussion around, because the question came in like, what percent sold do you expect to be by the time you get to new crop? Do you have a goal for percent priced heading into harvest, canola specifically? And so I asked, is that physically sold? And they said, yeah, physically sold by harvest. And so my answer here, it can change a little bit as the year progresses. I'm a bit more of an aggressive marketer, though, in the sense that I'm an active seller during the spring and summer, and traditionally, not every year, but traditionally a little less active in the winter months. And not for every crop, but if I look at wheat, I'm a very active marketer during this time of year, less active in the winter traditionally. Canola, that could be the same as well. So I think everybody here will have a different answer. And some of the farms that I work with, folks, like the farms I work with one-on-one, they will enter harvest a combination of sold and hedged, approaching 90 to 100%. The combine rolls and everything has no downside. There's maybe some upside potential, but there's no downside left. Again, that's a combination. But I sit here and I like to be about half sold heading into harvest. I like to actually be a touch better than that, depending on the year. And again, not everyone has to be that level. You all have your own comfort level. And even on this episode, we talked about with Colin from Winfield about how, he is an area of continued dryness over multiple years, and he's not selling any physical. He's going to handle it in his futures account instead. And so, I kind of think about it in the sense that, what do I want to physically be sold and moving? And I get about halfway, and then I may be further hedged than that, but 50 to 60 is where I aim for heading into harvest. Now I sit here today and I'm around the high teens to low 20s, yield depending. Obviously making a few moves here in this rally right now, increasing that a little bit, but the market's going to dictate when I make the next sales. The weather's going to dictate a little bit on what happens as well. And I'm probably leaning here towards, I'm leaning towards, more puts right now, more protection against lower prices, taking advantage of the rally and not exposing myself to any, potential buyouts or anything like that until the weather smartens up. Then I may change that, but until it smartens up. So anyways, I thought that was a cool question to come in. I know it's different for everybody, and it's part of your crop marketing plan, which again, you may have written down in your crop marketing handbook here, or workbook, I should say. But yeah, it's a fun exercise to think about for sure. Well, maybe fun wasn't the right way to say that. Okay, let's leave it at that for questions. I had one more, but I'm going to save it here until next week. All right, folks, thanks for hanging out here once again. I do want to update you guys on the hockey pools. In the Lunchbox Crew hockey pool, which the winner is getting dinner for 10 at Montana's. We got access to a really cool Montana's restaurant experience there. So Richard is in the lead on that one. It's a bracket style pool. He's leading by 1 point after Edmonton advanced here to the conference finals. But I was looking at the brackets and a few guys right behind him. I think Blaine's right back there. Justin's back there as well. We'll see. Maybe a little shakeup coming in those standings. And then we have the What the Futures pool, which is for 2 hockey tickets. We have Eric Wall in first place. We've got Cody in second and Brad in third. Again, looking through the rosters here, folks. Oof. And there's a couple. I think there's going to be a late charge here for the third round. We'll see, but that's where we sit here. Of course, the winner getting two tickets to an NHL game of their choice on that one. Here's my little game here for the end. So what you need to do, let's go with email right now. I think that's probably easier for everybody. So email ryan@whatthefuturespodcast.ca. There is one thing that changed this week in the studio. All right. Take a look. If you're checking out the YouTube video, take a look on the video. Email me what that one change in the studio was. And I wonder if I should give one hint. I was going to say it's not on the display wall behind me. That is the hint. That is a strong hint. You let me know what it is, and I will put together. Got a little bit of What the Future's underwear left. I've got some T-shirts hanging out here, and I should have hats shortly as well. I'll put together a little prize pack for you. You let me know what you see, and email the answer, ryan@whatthefuturespodcast.ca. Now, again, it's not on the back wall. That is the hint for this week. All right, folks, share the episode with a friend, neighbor, someone in the farming community. I certainly appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I'll be back with a fun one here next week. So that's it for the What the Futures podcast. My name's Ryan, and I'm out.